back to another episode of the Female Empowered Podcast. I'm your host, Christa Gurka. I'm very excited for this episode. I've been talking about this for a long time. And so this episode is specifically to help boutique fitness, Pilates, PT, wellness, or other high-touch service businesses understand that lowering prices is not the way to grow. Instead, we must position ourselves as more specialized, more personalized, and more valuable. When we're small, we do not compete on price. We compete on precision. So let me tell you something that I see all the time. You have a small studio owner who goes on Instagram. This might have happened to you today, yesterday, a different day, but sometime soon, because I see this all the time in our mentorship programs. You open Instagram and you see a new studio or just another studio offering 2 weeks unlimited for $49. Or you see another physical therapy practice offering free consults or discounted packages. And immediately you think, maybe I need to lower my prices too. And before you know it, you're charging less, working more, and somehow making less money than you were before. And this, my friends, is the trap. You cannot compete on price when you are a small, high-touch business. It is a race to the bottom. You cannot out-cheap the bigger guy. You just can't. The giant studio with multiple locations, each with 16 reformers, 30 plus employees, a corporate team, and venture capital money behind it can always charge less than you. The big PT chain with 12 to 15 therapists and 5 locations can always run a bigger promotion. But that does not mean that they are better. And you know this. It means they are playing a different game. We, as small boutique businesses, are playing a value game, not a volume game. We are playing a value game, not a volume game. All right? So if you're small, you need to stop trying to win the volume game. You need to create your own game of value, okay? Because I don't want you to compete on price. I want you to learn how to compete on precision. Because boutique services, fitness and wellness services, are not commodities. Biggest mistake I see in boutique business owners is making their service feel like a commodity. A commodity is something that feels interchangeable, that you can get anywhere, and like corn from Publix, which is a grocery store here in Florida, is going to be the same as corn from Winn-Dixie, maybe, okay? Gas is a commodity. A gallon of milk is a commodity. A basic gym membership where nobody knows your name and you just go into and you get to use equipment, that's a commodity. When something is a commodity, the buyer usually picks which one they're going to go with based on price. I'll go with Crunch Fitness over UFit because it's price. It's basically the same thing. It's a gym commodity, okay? That's just a general example, okay? But our businesses are not commodities. So if you own a 4 to 6 reformer Pilates studio, a cash-based physical therapy practice, a concierge wellness business, a med spa, a small boutique fitness studio, a personalized personal training gym, a specialized women's clinic, your clients are not buying exercises or treatment. They are buying support, standards, expertise, accountability, personalization and individualization, and faster results. They are paying because they want someone who knows exactly what to do for them specifically, because you are the expert. People will pay experts for general advice, but they don't want to pay generalists for expert advice. So be the experts. Let's take 2 examples. You have Studio A. Okay, let's take a Pilates studio. So Studio A has 16 reformers in their location. They charge $24 a class. They don't have someone sitting at the front desk. Okay, so you walk in, you check in, you scan a code, you check in. You have 4 influencers setting up their lighting and their tripods, and nobody knows your name. The instructor just started teaching a week ago. You maybe have a shoulder injury, and now you're basically on your own because the instructor is picking exercises off of YouTube. Then you have Studio B, which has 4 or 5 reformers, right? That studio charges $48 a class. The instructor knows your name. They know that you have scoliosis. They remember your shoulder issues. They modify the workout accordingly. So all 4 or 5 of those people feel like they got the exact workout they came for. They check in with you after class. They have a front desk person who knows your schedule. These, my friends, are not the same product. They might both be Pilates, but they are not the same product. So why then do small studios try to price themselves like those big box studios, especially now with all the money coming into the industry? That is like a private chef trying to compete with Costco samples. That is like Gucci selling their hand-stitched handbags for the same price as the ones you can buy in Target. They're not the same. They're not the same product. And there are people out there that value that type of precision and expertise and individualization. So that's who you have to go after. Here's what happens when you do compete on price. This is why we say it's a race to the bottom. So you lower your prices. You're like, oh, I don't know, $45 seems a lot. I'm going to lower them to $40. Then the bigger competitions, we're going to lower our pricing and we're going to do an unlimited special for $200 a month. Then you're like, I got to go lower now. Let me add a discount. And then they start offering free months. Eventually, everybody is working harder for less money. You, as a small boutique business, do not have enough margin, do not have enough profit in your business to offer those kind of discounts, nor should you, because the value is high touch, high value. The problem is that low price clients are the hardest to retain and usually, by the way, the hardest to serve. Have you ever noticed that the people that ask for discounts are the ones that are the hardest? They complain the most. They give you the most headache about what they're getting. The people that are like, give me the link, pay in full, those are the best people. They understand the value. Clients who stay the longest, who are your best retained clients, your biggest advocates, get the best results, not because they are buying you because they are the cheapest. They are buying you because they trust you. They know you will get results. I'll give a perfect example. I pay $25,000 to be in a mastermind, a business mastermind where I learn all the things. They have 3 calls a week. This week, I will not be on a single call. Last week, I don't think I was on a single call. I don't look at that and be like, I'm not using this, so this is a waste of my money. No, I look at this and be like, I've learned so much in the program that I can buy back my time and I don't have to be on those calls to get the benefit of the program. It has still been super valuable to me. So one of the things I see in Pilates happen over and over again is you get people that have intro offers that are $49 or $39 because they think a lower intro offer will attract more people. And while, yes, you usually get more people that come in, you also get bargain hunters, people that want the $39. And then as soon as you say, well, our package starts at $300, $39 to $300 is a big jump. They do not convert. They do not stay. They complain about the pricing. And then the owner ends up exhausted trying to serve more people for less money. I love an intro offer that's closer to the cost of a real package. $99 for 3 group classes or 4 group classes, and then the next 4 class a month membership is $129. That you're going to get a different type of person. You don't want bargain hunters coming into your studio. You want people that can actually afford your services. And if they're looking for something cheaper, they can go somewhere else to find it cheaper. Oftentimes, the value is not there. So if they're like, but I know that place is great, but I don't get the type of quality. Yeah, that's why you come to us and that's why you pay a little bit more, but you get a bigger return on your investment in the end. So one of the things I want you to think about is in your messaging, especially if you're running ads, you want to use negative keywords like affordable, cheap, free, low cost. You are not low cost. You are not cheap. Instead, let's use messaging like, especially if you have a 4 or 5 or 6 reformer studio and now you're competing against studios that have 10, 12, 14, you can say more affordable than a private session, less crowded than a group session. okay? Or more individualization than a large group reformer studio. That's the messaging you want. And you can also call out very specifically who you're looking for. Private feeling Pilates for women over 50 with back pain who want to stay strong and active. That's a completely different clientele than Pilates classes. Who exactly are you going after? Call them out directly. And here's where I like to talk about like the red ocean versus blue ocean strategy. So I've talked about this a little bit before, definitely in our mentorship programs, but I think also on the podcast. So there is a business concept that's called red ocean strategy versus blue ocean strategy. The red ocean is where everybody is doing the same thing. They have the same offer, they have the same audience, they have the same marketing, they have the same pricing. So everyone is fighting over the same clients, which is why they call it the red ocean. It's like shark infested waters and they're all feeding on the same thing. And so that's why it's red. Okay. That's the idea, the concept. So you're all fighting over the same type of clients, right? And usually in that, the fight becomes about price, right? Again, race to the bottom. So then you have the blue ocean, right? If you swim over here to the blue ocean, people carve out their own lane. You become known for something very specific. So Pilates for women with osteoporosis, pelvic floor PT for active moms, strength training for women over 50, semi-private Pilates for people with pain, PT for runners training for their first marathon, PT for runners that want to move from weekend warriors to elite athletes. You are no longer interchangeable with all of those other offers. You are no longer one of the top 10 or 15 options. You are the option. You are the expert. And that is one of the things we did at Pilates in the Grove, where we really presented ourselves as we are the Pilates studio that has physical therapists teaching Pilates classes. So if you have injuries, if you're recovering from an injury, if you have special considerations, are pregnant, recovering from pregnancy, we have more knowledge than your average fitness person because we have all these physical therapists that are teaching the classes and training the rest of our staff. All right. So when you become the obvious expert or you are the person to solve the problem, people stop comparing you to the cheapest option. They compare you to what's the alternative if they don't invest with you. So the alternative could be if they go to use their insurance in an in-network physical therapy practice where they're being seen with 4 other people, it could take them longer to get better. And maybe they don't get better at all. Maybe they continue to have this nagging pain over and over, whereas if they go to the expert that maybe charges $250 an hour, their symptoms could resolve in 4 to 6 sessions. So you're not being compared to price, you're being compared to what happens if they don't invest with you, if they stay stuck in the same place. Now, another thing that goes with messaging is semi-private sessions versus group classes. When people think of group classes, most often they think of an actual group class. If I go to my Lifetime gym and I take a class, I could be in class with probably 60 other people sometimes, 50 people in yoga, all right? So that's what they're thinking of in a group class. And so in Pilates, especially when we can only have, even large studios only having 10 or 12 reformers, they're more like small groups. And if you have 4 to 6, you're probably more like a semi-private session. So again, when you own a smaller boutique studio, your pricing should not look like the big box studios down the street, especially if you have limited space and you're offering a very high touch service. 1 instructor to 4 people is very different than 1 instructor to 12 people. So if a 12 reformer studio is charging $28 a class, you cannot, as a 4 reformer studio, run profitably on $28 unless you don't have rent or your people are working for free. And you should not, because the class is not the same. Lean into what makes your class more valuable. 4-person semi-private session, $45 to $55 a person. Small group physical therapy pod. So again, maybe this is if you charge $250, but not people are like, I don't really need the private, one-on-one anymore. Maybe you can charge 4 people $60 and now you're at $240. So you're getting the same price for the hour. The clients are getting it for a little less expensive and everyone is happy. So you just want to think outside the box. Think outside the box and let math be your friend. All right. So when your clients are happier, they still get the attention, especially if they've been working with a therapist for a long time and now that therapist is seeing 3 people at the same time. They usually grow some community. What's the word I'm looking for? Like community within that pop. And then they've been working with you for a long time. So you can make modifications very easily with those clients. Excuse me. You're not discounting, you're repackaging it. You're creating a better offer, not a cheaper one. So how do you know if you are underpriced? Here are a few signs that you are competing on price instead of precision. You constantly get asked about discounts. When are you running your next discount? Are you offering anything special anytime soon? Another way to look is your schedule's full, you're booked, but you're still not making profit. If your demand exceeds your supply, it's time to raise your prices. So if your schedule is full and your profit is low, your pricing is probably off. You are afraid to raise your prices because you think everyone will leave. A lot of people think that. We superimpose our feelings onto our clients, and feelings are not facts. You compare your prices to other competitors instead of your actual value and expenses. It's okay to look at other people's prices just to know what the market will tolerate. And I can tell you, people pay anywhere from $20 to $300 for Pilates. I know people that are running 12 reformer studios that are charging $50 a session. I also know people that charge $300 for a private session. So you want to compare your prices on your expenses, your goals, your needs. And this way you stop attracting clients who are price shopping. So when you're trying to attract a different type of clientele, those that are not price shoppers, those that are not bargain hunters, sometimes pricing might not be your problem. It might be your positioning. So this is where I want you to really get good, really hone in on who specifically you help, what specific problem you solve, what is your unique method that is different than everyone else, what is your unique selling proposition, why your experience is worth more. I'll never forget that a friend of mine who was an attorney, I think I've told this story before, and he was charging something like $600 an hour. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. How do you feel? How did you get to that rate? And how do you feel about it? And he said, the truth is, I'm so good at what I do that even at $600 an hour, I can usually save my clients money because I can get done in 1 hour what it takes a less experienced person to do that takes them 3 hours to accomplish. So if they're charging $300 an hour and I'm charging $600, I can get it done in an hour and it takes them 3 hours, which means now the client's paying $900. So that's why my experience sometimes is worth more, right? So I want you to remember a few things. If you remember anything, it's this: never compete on price. Competing on price is a race to the bottom. I'm going to say it again. Never compete on price. Competing on price is a race to the bottom. The goal in your business is never to be the cheapest option. The goal is to be the clearest option, because the right client is not looking for the lowest price. They are looking for the person who understands them best and can best solve their problem. So stop trying to compete with businesses that more reformers, more therapists, more locations, bigger teams, and bigger budgets. You do not need to beat them at that game. You need to build a business that is impossible to compare to. If you are small, you do not compete on price. You compete on precision. And when you do that, you will stop attracting bargain hunters. You will start attracting people who are willing to pay for the results, attention, and expertise that only you, my friends, can provide. Only you. Because boutique businesses should never try to be cheaper. We should just try to be better. And that's your goal. Not to be cheaper, to be the best. So if this episode hit home for you, which I'm sure it probably did to most of you, I would love if you took a screenshot, if you shared it on Instagram, if you tagged me and maybe tagged another business owner. And I really hope you did enjoy this episode. I hope you took something from it. I hope you'd go back to your business and be like, no, I should not compete on price. I'm not going to keep lowering my standards and my pricing. I'm going to lean into that I am best in my area, the best in my business, and I know my value. And I know when I know this, I will attract the right people, the right buyers, the right clients to my business and into my orbit. And you can do this all, my friends. So until next time, bye for now.